What's going on YouTube? So Mazda is in the midst of a big brand revamp, and one of the first products in their move up scale was this CX-30. This is their stylish and premium subcompact crossover, and after adding a powerful turbo model last year, is back again with a new trim level and a few upgrades. So is this the best in the segment, or should you consider buying this over a Mazda CX-5? Let's go ahead and find out. So of course, being a new product to the Mazda lineup does mean we have the latest Mazda design language. This is a very nice looking crossover. Up here in the front, you've got that signature Mazda grille, like I was saying. Now, some of the lower end trim levels, they do come with a matte finish on the interior of this grille, but the vast majority of the trim levels will come with this gloss black finish for this mesh. This looks particularly good if you have a contrasting color, or if you want a nice stealthy look like this one has. It really looks nice as well. As you can see, the chrome does come up through here, and this traces underneath of our headlights, which are standard full LED across the entire lineup. Now, if you choose a premium or a turbo model, that's going to throw in adaptive abilities with these headlights. And then down below, you're not going to find fog lamps, but you will find the separated turn signal indicator, which has this cool fading in and out effect. Now, as we come around here to the side, you're going to find nice looking alloy wheels on pretty much every single version of this CX-30. As a matter of fact, all but the base model will come with 18-inch alloy wheels. Of course, you do have a couple different finishes. So we have the gloss black finish because we have a turbo model. And also, if you choose the brand new carbon edition for 2022, that also is going to have the gloss black finish on these alloy wheels. And it will also have a gloss black finish on these mirrors, just like the turbo model would, even if we didn't have this black. Now let's talk about some of the features on board with the mirrors. You will notice we have the turn signal indicator. This also has the fading in and out effect, just like with the front. Additionally, you're going to find blind spot monitoring on all but the base model, and starting on the carbon edition is where you'll have heating on board.
Now the CX-30 is a pretty compact vehicle, as you probably know by this point. As far as the overall length, it's coming in at 173 inches overall, which does make this, a decent size for the segment, but of course it is going to slot down below than, something like a CX-5. As far as different design elements, we have chrome trim around the windows, at least for the bottom portion, and we do have some nice silver trim up here for your roof rails. Now, making our way around to the back of the CX-30, of course, for 2022, nothing really changes in terms of the overall design. This is still a very fresh product from the Mazda lineup, and I really do like the way it looks. Now, let's break down some of the design elements. We have an exposed rear wiper right here. We have our Mazda branding in the middle. And then as far as our taillights are concerned, this is one of my favorite elements about the CX-30. These have absolutely gorgeous full LED taillights, and that's actually going to be standard equipment on the CX-30. So yes, there are a lot of luxury cars that do not have taillights as nice as this. They have full LED elements. We have a LED fading in and out turn signal, and we also have an LED reverse light. And then dropping down to our lower area, we do have a black matte plastic. That's going to be standard on every single CX-30, although it does blend in really nicely with this black paint. And also standard on every single model are these dual exhaust outlets. I really like that touch. It's going to be the same size regardless of if you get the turbo or the regular engine. Now, Mazda has really done a great job with the safety systems for the CX-30. They're throwing in every single one of them as standard equipment, regardless of which trim level you go for. So that's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beam headlamps, as well as adaptive cruise control. Now, that said, you can get a more advanced version of that adaptive cruise control if you go for a Turbo Premium Plus model that will throw in the traffic jam assist as well as rear auto braking. Now, for your warranty, you're going to have Mazda's standard warranty, 3-year 36,000 mile basic, 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, no complimentary maintenance. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior design of this CX-30. I really like the blacked out elements on this particular tester. Now let's check out the in time instead of inside. At the inside and talk about the rear area as well as the cargo department before we take this.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. All right, this interior before we take this turbo model out for a spin.
So heading up to our CX-30, we'll find Mazda's smart entry system on all but the base trim level. And getting inside, they do have a sensor behind the handle, so just grab it to unlock. So of course this model is available in a lot of different trim levels, and as such you do have a lot of different material and color selections in regards to your seating. So the base model is going to come with cloth seating. The select, preferred, and turbo models, those are going to have leatherette. And then if you choose that new carbon edition, that's where you'll start to have real leather, and that comes in a special red color. Now on your premium and all of the turbo premium models, you're going to have this right here. This is a real leather seat, and you have the choice between black or white. In terms of the leather itself, it is very high quality, has a nice perforation. Of course, you do have all the signature stitching details and stuff that you've come to expect. As far as the seats themselves, they're going to be 8-way power adjusting on the preferred trim level and above, so that's the vast majority of them. Additionally, when you choose one of those trim levels, you will also have the 2-person memory seating, which is located right here. Let's go ahead and start to talk about the cabin materials in general here. So as you can see, we do have a very nicely finished door trim. Of course, they've done a great job with this cabin, making it nice and high quality. So you have the leather that runs all across the armrest with the stitching detail. We have the brown color contrasting leather with also another stitching detail, and that's going to continue onto the dashboard, and everything is going to be soft touch. As far as the windows themselves, they're going to be one touch auto up and down for all 4 of them. And then like I was saying, you're going to see the color contrast brown leather all across the upper dashboard. So it's a very beautiful touch. We have more leatherette through here. This is finished in a black color. And then down below we do have a nice pad for your knee to rest against with, again, another stitching detail. Everything is going to fit together exceptionally well. And with the turbo models, you do have a special chrome accent around your standard push button start. And after you start the vehicle up, you will be greeted with the premium Mazda gauge cluster. This is actually standard across the entire CX-30 lineup, which is a nice touch. In the middle here, we've got the 7-inch multi-function display, and you can cycle between more traditional views, like your regular speedometer. You can put in trip information, or we can kind of go into this view which has the enhanced safety systems as the main focus. Additionally, if you choose any of the premium trim levels, that's also going to throw in this head-up display you see today. Now, as we pull back, you're going to notice rain sensing wipers. One of the nice touches that Mazda does is include this as standard pretty much across their entire lineup. The CX-30 is no exception. And as we come back to the steering wheel, of course, we do have the latest Mazda steering wheel, nicely leather wrapped, really nice looking metal accent buttons. And as far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping across the entire lineup. However, heating comes on the Turbo Premium and Turbo Premium Plus models. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk interior storage. Of course, this is a fairly small crossover, so let's see if it passes the coupon test. So for the console, you slide this back. What's going on? Damn it. Always gotta be something mess me up. It can pass the coupon test. In terms of your center console here, this is operated by sliding it backwards, and then you can lift it up. It does have a nice dampening on that. And in terms of the space inside, it's actually pretty decent, especially for this type of vehicle. We do have a premium felt lining down there at the bottom. You also find a couple USB ports and a 12-volt outlet. All right, here goes the coupons though. Let's see what we got. All right, not bad. Definitely fits them in there. We can just close that up and we'll slide it back over. Up in front of that, we do have 2 cup holders. We also have another storage area where you could rest your phone, and you can get a standalone option of a wireless phone charger if that's something you want. As far as the shifter, we just have a traditional one, so you pull back for drive, bump over here to the left to shift manually, and you will find paddle shifters on the turbo models. Heading into reverse, we've got the regular backup camera on this model. It actually comes on every single trim level except for the Turbo Premium Plus. That's one of the exclusive features for that fully loaded model. We'll give you a 360-degree camera system with front and rear parking sensors. However, on this model, it does have the mirrors that tilt down in reverse to help you see the parking lines better. And then, of course, you do have your electronic parking brake with brake hold located right behind that. Right next to that, we have our Mazda controller. This is used for the infotainment system since the screen is not a touchscreen. I'll talk about that more in a second. And then off to the side, kind of Audi style, we have a console-mounted volume knob for the audio system. So you have a standard 8-speaker sound system, and then your upper end trim levels for both the regular and turbo models, those are going to come with the 12-speaker Bose premium sound system. That, of course, is what we have today, so let's go ahead and test it out. Yeah, so overall sound quality is excellent. We did have a Mazda 3 for 7 days a few months ago, and just like in that model, the sound system is a joy to listen to. Definitely has a very full sound to it. Okay, so let's take a look up here at our climate controls. Kind of integrated into this chrome that goes across, you have a dual zone climate control set up on all but the very base CX-30. Of course, adjusting it is just as easy as you'd expect. Turn the knobs, you have your fan speeds located right there, your zones right there. Below that, you will find your 3-stage heated seats. These are standard on the preferred model and above. Seat ventilation is not available on the CX-30, and then that's the button for our heated steering wheel. And then let's rise on up here to our main display. So this is an 8.8-inch display. This is standard equipment on every CX-30. Like I mentioned, and as you can probably tell, it is very, very far away from the driver. So there's no way that this could be touched. It is not a touch screen. You will use that Mazda controller to control their latest infotainment system. They have laid it out very easily. You just have a few sections you can scroll between like so. This model does have the built-in navigation system. Obviously this is not the most advanced looking system, but you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, of course, the wired variety, and that's for all of the trim levels as well. Rising on up, our premium turbo model does come with this really nice frameless auto dimming mirror. We do have full LED lighting which fades in. And then on the roof we have a standard size sunroof. This is included on the new Carbon Edition and above.
Alright guys, so the CX-30 is not a big vehicle on the outside, as you probably have noticed up until this point, but as far as the space is concerned, it's actually not that bad. We're looking at 36.3 inches of rear legroom, 38.3 inches of headroom. So as far as behind Drew's seating position, he's 5'8", I'm 5'9". As you can see, I still have probably 3 inches or so of spare legroom. And the headroom figure I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see is quite nice, because they do have a nice cutout up here at the top. Now as far as how that compares to its competition, maybe a little bit less than some of the largest offerings in the segment, but not by a lot. Now, let's talk about the space, or the feature set, excuse me. So here in the center on the higher end CX-30s, you will get vents, which is really kind of rare to see in anything in this segment. Of course, you don't have your own climate controls, though. And if we fold down the center armrest, you will notice that we do have cup holders inside. There are not going to be USB ports like what you would get in a higher end Mazda CX-5. I also want to point out that heated rear seats are not available on any CX-30. And then turning over to our door trim, we do have a hard touch upper dashboard, or upper portion here. The rest is going to be a nice leatherette material though. We have a padded armrest, and we do even have bottle storage down below that. Now coming up to the cargo area, we do have a power tailgate that is of course going to be included on your upper end Mazda CX-30 models. And then as far as the space is concerned back here, you're once again going to have a similar story to the second row. Even though this is a pretty small vehicle, you have a good amount of cargo space. We're looking at 20.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. If you fold those seats down, you're looking at over 45 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And as you can see, the seats do fold 60-40 split. Now, there are not any handles in the cargo area itself to fold the seats, but this is a pretty small vehicle, so you can just lean up, fold the seat right down, and that does not pose any problem whatsoever. As you can see, with the seats folded completely down, it's mostly flat. There is a tiny, tiny little hump to get over, but overall, this is going to be a very usable cargo area. We have LED lighting on the side. Then if we lift up the cargo floor, there is a spare tire up under there. Now, even though this is one of the higher end CX-30s, we still do have a manually adjusting passenger seat. It's not a problem though. And then I do want to point out, if you go for a turbo model, you will have this nice chrome handle. That's just an extra bougie touch that they've thrown in. If we open up the glove box, it's going to be your signature Mazda glove box. This is a pretty decent amount of space, as you'll see in here. It's enough space. You have a shelf right here, and it's certainly enough to fit in our coupons. And then up top, we have a sun visor. We have some LED illumination, which is a nice bougie touch, a nice mirror, and we can also detach the visor, and we have an extension out in the end. Wow.
Just as quick as that, we're at 60 miles per hour. Obviously, like we mentioned, this is the turbo model, so this one is all about having that extra power. 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque.
This feels faster than even the other turbo models, just because the CX-30 is a small thing. Like, it's like, you don't really expect it. I guess there's something psychological about this segment of vehicle that you don't expect it to be fast. But like, when you take off, it really just, it's kind of funny to me. It's really quick, and it's enjoyable too.
Right, absolutely. The standard model for the non-turbo trim levels is going to have 186 horsepower. So you're looking at a huge improvement, especially, like I said, in the torque figure. This motor just has torque for days.
Yeah, and what it actually is, since we haven't mentioned that, is a 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. You know, it's something you've seen in a lot of other Mazda products at this point. 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are with premium fuel. It will be reduced ever so slightly. I'm not exactly sure if that we have, or actually 227 horsepower is our rating with regular fuel. So you can pick if you would want to pay more at the pump, get a little bit more horsepower, or if you can just go with regular fuel. So I do like that they give you the option there.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I forgot to say the displacement. I got a little too excited.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, not at all.
But it definitely is important to know the rating from regular to premium fuel, because right now I'm looking at a sign that regular fuel is $3.50 a gallon, so
In
premium
Kentucky,
fuel is
yeah.
probably very close to $4 a gallon. We live in Kentucky.
Bless your hearts if you live in California. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's big money for sure. Yeah, even when you're just accelerating more casually, the torque figure just feels so good. Let's talk about some other aspects though. We do have the same 6-speed automatic transmission on board, just like Mazda has had in most of their products for several years now. You know, I'll say the same thing that I say in all of the Mazda reviews. Yes, 6 is less than 8 or 10 or whatever that some of the rivals have, but a lot of the competition has continuously variable transmission. So I would definitely say a traditional automatic is favorable over a continuously variable transmission. I would also say that this 6-speed automatic is very smooth. and refined. So not something that I mind at all. Additionally, a big change for 2022 is the fact that we have standard all-wheel drive across all the trim levels. That's not even just for the CX-30, but that's even for all of the Mazda crossovers are moving to a standard all-wheel drive. So as Mason will talk about a little later, it didn't really impact the price too much to go to a standard all-wheel drive system.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good move for Mazda. I imagine the vast majority of people were already picking all-wheel drive, and that's definitely a nice standard feature to add to the list of really nice equipment that they throw in on all of the models. But let's go ahead and talk about just your ride quality as well as the audio level inside of this cabin. We'll get the sound level reading first, then I'll go into the ride quality. 56.8 decibels is what I was sitting at. That's a really solid reading. We've tested quite a few different vehicles on this road, a lot of which are luxury cars that test right at that figure. I think even some of them tested above that figure. And just sitting here in the passenger seat, I can hear that. It sounds super quiet in here. And the thing about Mazda, as we say in all of our videos, is it just feels cohesive. It feels luxurious. When you're in this car, it really does feel almost like a luxury car, and we don't say that about everything. So that is something I want to point out. Also, just the ride quality seems really good for this model. We have pretty large wheels for this turbo, and it soaks up the bumps really well. So no complaints on that front. I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised when you get behind the wheel of the CX-30 that they haven't skumped out on really anything in terms of the ride quality and stuff like that.
That's right, and especially in regard to this turbo model, you have premium aspirations for sure. And when you're behind the wheel of this, you can really tell that, it actually does line up very favorably against a number of luxury crossovers that are in this size category.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're in Kentucky, and it is basketball season. It's almost March Madness, actually. So it's time to do our slam dunk and air ball. Today, our slam dunk is going to be... There's really a number of things that we could have said for this. We debated about this for actually quite a bit off camera because we didn't really know if there was a specific thing that we like best about it. There's a lot of great things. I like the turbo engine, though, so I think that's really a unique element in this segment. You're not going to get that really on any of its competitors, and it is really powerful and just an overall great engine experience.
Yeah, and on the airball side of things, we decided it was going to be the technology for this. Of course, this does have the newer infotainment system for Mazda, but it's not a touchscreen. I know a lot of people are disturbed by that. I would personally prefer a touchscreen as well, so if they move the screen up a little closer so I could just actually touch it, I feel like that would be a much easier interface to work with.
And now let's talk about our fuel economy for the two different engines that you can get. The base model is going to be coming in at 26 miles a gallon combined. The turbo, which is what we have with us today, obviously, is coming in at 25 miles a gallon combined. Both come standard with all-wheel drive, as we mentioned earlier. So you're looking at a 1 mpg difference between the 186 horsepower regular model and this powerful turbo. So don't include fuel economy in deciding whether you want the turbo or not. It's going to be price. The fuel economy is really about the same, which I'm very surprised to see, actually.
And here in town, we don't really have any curvy roads to get on, but I have to mention it because it's such an important aspect of any Mazda, and that is just the overall handling and sportiness of this. We have that signature on board with this.
Yeah.
This thing actually has really nice body control, really tight feeling, and then the steering. Mazda just does steering so much better than almost every automaker. I'm talking both luxury and mainstream. It just has a great feel. It has so much quickness and accuracy to it. It just really makes it so enjoyable to drive a Mazda, including this CX-30.
All right, guys, But how much is this going to set you back to get a Mazda CX-30? So, like Drew mentioned earlier, we do have the standard all-wheel drive, but prices really haven't risen that much. So our base model is still going to be $22,200, which that's a really good price for the segment. And then you go all the way up to stuff like what we have today, which of course has a lot higher of a starting price. The Turbo Premium Plus, the highest end model you can get starting, is going to be $34,400.
So at the end of the day, we continue to be very, very impressed by this CX-30. As we discussed, it really just has a lot of strong characteristics, and based on the price, you can basically cross-shop this with, traditional subcompact rivals. But when you get up to this Turbo Premium model, this really does make a convincing argument against luxury rivals. I don't know how the upload order is going to be, but this week we've actually been sampling out a Lexus UX. And compared to that, you can really see that it does carry basically the same level of luxury. You have a beautiful design. We have a lot more power than we have on that model as well. And the price is quite a bit less. So, overall, this makes a very compelling argument for a subcompact crossover, both mainstream and luxury.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth reviews of the 2022 Mazda CX-30 Turbo. If you made it this far in our video, I hope that means you enjoyed watching it and found it helpful. So please help us back by hitting that subscribe button down below. It gives you access to a ton of automotive content. It's completely free, and it really just helps us get better content to you all. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.